Lesson 4. How do I allow for differences in the way students learn? Welcome back. In this lesson, we talk about how students think about their thinking, which is metacognition. In the second lesson, we talked about how we process our thoughts and feelings. For example, if you ever taught a lesson and ended up saying, gee, that didn't go over too well, or I think I did a great job with that, you are doing some healthy self-reflection. When you were in your education classes in college, you probably learned about Bloom's taxonomy or the lesson plan cycle. The first part of these tools is devoted to finding out what your students know about the topic before you move forward. Sadly, many teachers dive right into the content and expect that the students will follow along. How often do we really ask students to think about what they learn, how they learn, and how they might improve? By now you've noticed I have a bit of a head tremor. I have big ears and I have a pretty big bald spot. As you might imagine, the reaction to my confessions varies from chuckles to quiet staring to some uncomfortable shifting in seats. Why do I do this? I want my students to understand and accept their strengths and limitations. If you know who you are, you know better how to get to where you want to go. You have to own everything about yourself. If you do, others can't get under your skin and you can move towards self-actualization. Hey, we talked about that in the last video, that Maslow guy. When I start working with students, I ask them to complete an inventory with a variety of questions so they will actually think about what they like, what they know, and to think about possible challenges to moving forward with their learning. Here are a few examples of the types of surveys or questions that I use. Let's zoom in. For my older students, I allow them to read and fill them out independently. And for my younger students, I conduct interviews and fill them out myself. Not only do I start the year with these, but I also end with these activities so that they can actively reflect on their learning successes and challenges. And I ask them to make a plan for the next school year. Now that you know that science is your hardest subject, how will you handle that when you begin the next school year? Okay, let's zoom out. And now that we have these first few important lessons under our belts that deal with teachers knowing their students and students knowing themselves, we're ready to move into the next lesson where we will begin to help students activate their learning. The fancy term for this process is differentiated instruction, but it's simply meeting the students' needs using materials and techniques that fit their needs. As always, here is my email address.